Hello, everyone. For those of you whom I have not met, my name is Pradeep. I'm part of the product development team at Gelato, as Henry called the new title, which is Builder. So we do everything from taking feedback from customers to build the product. I've been with Gelato for 8 years. My background is in software. I'm an engineer by education, been part of building Gelato's creator economy business, and in the last 2 years, fully focused on Gelato Connect. I don't come from the print industry, but it's been exciting and fun to work with leading printers to build up the software. So very excited to present today this session about AI Estimator. I will start here. This is I cannot think of a better bridge to go from Henrik's presentation to here to summarize the problem and the challenges and the opportunity. It is it is about the software. Your machines have evolved. 8 years ago, when I joined Gelato and when I visited PSPs, I could see the speed at which those machines operated. People were still thinking, should I even move into digital printing? But now those questions have been answered. But when we look at the software stack today at PSPs, it's exactly almost the same as what it was 8 years before. So they're backward looking. They're really built for offset and bulk production, and they're not smart. It's not a learning engine. It is very hard to go into this after the presentation from Henrik with robots dancing in China, because we know where this is, right. So they manage complexity. I would almost say they manage the decline, right? Like if you have a decline, how do you optimize that? But they do not optimize for growth and profit. So that is really the gap. And that is the reason why we have invested and focused on the front end, which is the AI estimator. Why is the AI estimator the starting point? So 6 months ago, we were in Madrid. We had a summit just like this. Some of you were there. And a lot of the feedback revolved around why we need to start here. Really, absolutely nail this before we move on to, expanding it into the rest of the MIS, right? Like, why is this so important? Every print business started, it starts with this fundamental question: what should I charge? And the answer I have learned, at least over the last year, is it's not simple, right? Like there is important complexity that you need to relate to, but it shouldn't be hard for the print buyer. To summarize your estimation process, I would say, sales and estimation bucketed into one is your biggest hidden cost. It's also your biggest untapped growth lever. We're going to come to this in the presentation, how we are, how PSPs are using this as the biggest growth lever. And the one thing that you have probably never measured, also going back to Ben, the data, once it's in the system, this is a theme, there is a lot of power to it. It compounds in terms of value that you can use to optimize and run your business better. When we look at the full end-to-end cycle of your jobs, all the way from winning a job through the sales process, up until you fulfill that order and you do your admin, which is invoicing, all of those downstream challenges, the problem is not that your presses can take more jobs, right? Like, it, does anyone have 100% utilization of the press, and that is the main problem? Like, show of hands. I don't see that. It's actually, well, we see it in the data, just so you know. In the AI estimator, we have the machines configured and we can see how much they can do because we have the speeds, all of the data in there. And the amount of jobs that is running through is not even 20-30% in some of the machines. So this is really the problem. Of course, those are things that can make things so much more efficient, but this is something that we just double clicked on in the last 6 months. Like when we look at the summit in Madrid up until now, this is what you have told us: help us grow. And that is why the theme really is about growth. And I put in here, it's not the presses, right? It's about feeding the presses, which is the challenge. So I'm going to look at, go in and share 3 specific areas within. What does it mean when we say sales and estimation side of the life cycle is the key challenge? The first one is the growth ceiling. So if the number of inbound requests just explode, are you able to handle that today? I think Hendrik shared a statistic, which is that AI estimator can do 4,000 in a day, right? Like, so that is just numbers. And Ben's example here, you don't, decoupling that with having to change your headcount, I think that is one. So your growth is actually capped by how much you can do. think about the last tender, which was just too much work, and you said, I'm not going to bid on this one, right? Like, so that's your capped volume. The next one, salespeople can code. This is a real team. In your businesses, you have your salespeople asking your estimators to code, and you're just basically removing them a bit from the process. These people know your customers best. What if you equip them to actually do real sales and business, right? And because salespeople are doing customer support or estimation, they're not having the real growth conversations, and that is, the growth ceiling here. The second aspect here, this goes to, Henrik's comment about signing off that, $5 million press, but having this different mindset towards software. Today, when you have, more demand, you go out and get an estimator. And you heard from Andy from BSG earlier, it is also not easy to find new estimators. I do not think my 7-year-old daughter is going to grow up and be a print estimator, right? Like, we know that is just going away. So this change needs to happen. There is no debating that. And there is also a cost associated with that. How do we think about this cost when we think about software? So this is just the cost of 3 estimators. And while you are, when there is a growth spurt, this is the way the industry has been solving for that growth, which is headcount. And the last one, this came up as a recurring theme. Again, I speak to thousands of printers just on print estimation. So this comes up over and over again. And one of the reasons some of our customers accelerate the deployment of AI Estimator is because they say, this person we have, that person is retiring. I don't know what I'm going to do now, but we just don't have a choice, but we just need to lean in, right? So this is a lot of tribal knowledge. I think it's great. It's brought the business this far, but this has to move into AI and data-driven. I don't think people born after the 90s are just going to sit with like tribal knowledge, being experts at print estimation right now. So this shift has to change as well. I wanted to ask perhaps you, Shreya, what was the discussion like? Like, what are you seeing in your business? How do you relate to this?
So I think what we've seen is that Atlas is a 30-year-old company that was obviously founded on offset. During time of COVID, we shifted to a completely digital production house. And we also launched our e-commerce website, Souk, which is what I had founded. And I think just a very real example of the AI estimator versus a legacy system is that the same client for, the same product contacted Atlas and Souk, not knowing they were the same company. One of them that contacted Souk was Gen Z millennial. We quoted on the AI estimator 60% higher than Atlas quoted, and Atlas had multiple touch points of conversations, kind of negotiating a few dirhams. But it goes back to what Henrik said. We won both jobs just from 2 different teams for the same product in the same company, but Souk quoted 60% higher just because of how quickly we were able to get back to them because of AI Estimator. Whereas Atlas team hadn't used it and was still working relationship based and also got the job, but with a much smaller margin and 3 days later. So I think just in that aspect of how much it streamlines it and, caters to the Gen Z millennial decision makers, which are maybe your more profitable decision makers and the growth, within the next few years, they're the people who you're going to be dealing with predominantly.
No, good. No, thank you for sharing that. I think this is an important nuance, right? It's not like fast, bad quotes. Like Andy from BSG, whom you heard before, there's 25 salespeople using this tool to get accurate quotes. And his quote was, I'm imparting 35 years of my experience into this tool so my team can benefit. And Shreya, your example, links directly to that, right? It's not just about, Hendrik's data point. Again, 71% of buyers would lean towards those who respond fast and give a solution. So you can also use that to your advantage. How much can you charge when it's convenient to do business with you versus it's inconvenient? So again, I mean, we're going to go into, some more depth into the product, but I wanted to also share the energy that goes into building something like this. If I share here, this is what is the AI estimator? So this is a vertically trained AI for the print industry. Right? So that is an important aspect to recognize. So there's a lot of things happening in the background, and we have some of the best engineers, not coding, but orchestrating these agent swarms to bring this power to you. I will also show a demo later, and we'll have some customer presentations. But this is the if you had to go back, hire engineers and build it yourself, it's the same example. It's like, I want to go and build my own Canon IX right now and compete with Canon. Like, it is really like that. But this is the power that we bring to your facility to really drive that growth. I'm going to show you how print leaders are actually using this today to drive growth. You saw a preview from Henrik in terms of the direction we are taking, allowing you to basically open up your facility and saying, hey, come use my machines, right? Let's do more business. I want to start by inviting Paul first as the first customer presenter. Paul has always been very passionate about the print buyer experience.
About me, I'm Paul Hudson, and I originally I just sort of assumed that I would just really gloss over that, but I'm delighted to realize there are a lot of people in this room I don't know. I kind of thought there would be, like, it would just be kind of like reunion of old friends, but there are all kinds of people here I don't know. So I'm looking forward to getting to meet a lot of you. So my business is Hudson Printing. It's in Salt Lake City. It's a very old business. Has been through a lot of transitions, including just in the last few weeks. As of just a few weeks ago, we are a digital print only company. Our roots are very much web offset and our legacy of many years, but we are all of a sudden now a digital print company. So all of my conversations with Gelato from the beginning have really been around this initial concept. Print is just still too hard to buy. It really is hard to buy for most people. In fact, in the last summit in Madrid, Kevin from Honblue, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't think I got this right, but I don't think Kevin's here. He said, it's a lot of work to be a print buyer. And that just resonated with me because it's exactly correct. So I've always believed that AI, the initial application for printing would be to create this language bridge for people who don't speak language, print jargon. Our jargon is really, really difficult. It's a foreign language to most people, and I thought that AI would be a great way for people who just need help and want something printed to be able to describe what they want and then be able to have the AI interpret that into our very complicated jargon and print instructions. So that's what got me so excited about the AI Estimator when we were, talking about this months ago, because I just saw that as a fantastic way to create that bridge. And many of you know that, like, our website has actually been live with the AI Estimator since last September, and it's been very interesting. It's been an evolution. Not everything has been a win. Because some people don't want to chat, right? Other people have been delighted to chat, and then we have had the advantage. One of the things you may not know is that when people interact with the chat, they can then submit the quote, which then we receive inside our Gelato software, and then we can work with it. But we can also see what people come and chat and they don't submit. And so I've had the habit of monitoring those unsubmitted chats every single day because I'm very interested to see what people will come to the site and what they'll say. And sometimes it's a delightful interaction, and I'll send it off to Pradeep and I'll say, hey, look at how well this interaction, like this back and forth went, with this prospect. And other times it missed. Like other times it didn't kind of give exactly the answer I would have liked. And or maybe it's given an answer on a product we don't produce or something like that. So I've really had to kind of like watch it, and then every single day I've gone in and then modified the guidance so that it gives better, more direct answers, the kind of thing that I would give. I guess leveraging what was said a minute ago, like I'm giving my 35 years of experience or whatever into this software. So it's been a very interesting journey on this. So, and from this is from actually the leader of my customer facing team. Just a couple of days ago, he sent me a text like, I just knocked out this quote in 5 minutes, quote letter included. And it was a very complicated hardcover book. And so he was just ecstatic. What I didn't share then was also from the customer. He shared me the text from the customer saying, oh, thanks for getting right back to me, whatever. So very much according to the theme we've just kind of hit. So So from this perspective, from the team's perspective, from the estimating speed perspective, from the cost saving perspective of estimators, it's been successful for us. It's taken, a lot of work to get everything right, but been very successful. So what I'm actually here to talk about isn't any of that. More, it's has to do with like, okay, well then what's sort of beyond chat? How do we actually take this cost estimation savings, this speed improvement, and now how do we turn that into growth? That's already been mentioned here a couple of times, but how do we make it more of a visual experience? How do we make it more of an interactive experience? How do we dominate our own local market based on having this tool available? So this is actually, you'll see it at the top. This is a live URL, shop.hudsonprinting.com. And what we have here now is now what I spoke a minute ago when Henrik asked me, kind of like what I think the revolution is on top of the initial AI estimator revolution. So what we have is this site, which is now much more visual, and it kind of looks enormous. But now I have the ability to, from my AI estimator setup, basically drive different categories. So in this case, I've got books category, which we're well equipped to do, and then I have kind of the subcategories of books. Oops. So let's actually just go into this particular one, and now what you'll see is much more of a storefront experience, right? It's visually engaging, and I'm pretty clear if you hold that. I can still actually drive with the estimator. So I might say, 200 coffees. Oops. Sorry, I'm not doing this well. Let's call it 8.8.5 by 11. Maybe let's say 144 pages. I don't know. Oops, that's not right either. And I'm in caps lock too. How about that? Okay. So now you'll see the AI now taking over. It's good at kind of like, because it does take a few seconds, right? So it's nice in terms of like the timing that it kind of lets you know, and then it can come back. And so what you're seeing here in terms of the sort of clarification questions, these are things that you drive from your guidance suggestions or product suggestions. Inside of the guidance tool in Gelato. So I could continue to chat here, but you can see I'm already producing a price. So, and what you have now is this very visual way to come in and now kind of like adjust a quote. So if I'm happy with this, great. But like, what if I change to 174 pages? Okay, great. What if, you know what? I really want to go to silk paper. Actually, that's what I meant. Okay, what if I actually want 250 copies? And now we have instant reaction, instant price changes. I can also, like, I should have added laminate, and again, the way that the base reaction is set up from your AI estimator setup. All of this is driven from the AI estimator. What you can see now is a very visually rich storefront type experience where a person can come in and toggle and move and adjust any kind of like element of that print product. And again, it's specific to the product. And again, let me emphasize all of this, all of the categories, all of the pricing, everything that is presented here is driven from my AI estimator setup. What I would do at this moment now is print quote request, and then I don't want to take the time to type that in, but what it would then appear inside of my Gelato software, where a person can pick it up. That doesn't mean, though, that in the very near future, we won't be able to actually conclude the transaction and take payment and everything right here. So in my mind, this is a really significant advancement over what we've seen in the past. And then I want to actually demonstrate one other thing, too, which is it's really nice that the agent itself has gotten a lot smarter as well. So you could say, should I laminate? The conversational and the teaching ability of the agent recently has gotten really, really good as well. And so what you can, let's see, let me pull from here. So it can come back and talk about, laminate, coating, and talk about different types of laminate, like the types, the smartness of the answers have gotten really good. really good for users because they just don't often know. And then just the last thing I'll do, because I'm probably way over time already, is just that this is the back end. It's all been developed very rapidly, very flexible way to build what I just showed you. And I don't think we need to take any more time on that, but that's it. Thank you.
Just a question. Daily basis, the guidance from where you started to where you are now, is it completely different?
Yeah, it's a lot different, and it's different in a couple of ways. One is, I'm just refining it for because of the interactions I see. Second thing is, I think, and Pradeep could speak to this, but I think the agent's just gotten a lot smarter at being trained on all things print, so that you don't have to tell it nearly the detail I think that in the past. And I think in some ways it's almost better not to. I think that was because you saw actually my original guidance and it was like this big long document. It's actually quite a bit shorter now because the agent itself has gotten smarter about all things print. And now I only have to kind of like deal with a nuance.
Thank you, Paul. Uh, So just to recap, for those of you who might have questions around, what this is linked to your AI estimator. The biggest problem in web to print, when I speak to BSPs, is that in web to print, you need to create your own price table, which is a static price table. The minute your suppliers change prices, the minute you want to change your pricing, you need an admin whose full-time job it is to just manage those web to print storefronts. I see a few heads nodding. We are completely disrupting that today. All of your prices come straight from the AI estimator, which is your source of truth, which already has the calculations, your supply prices, and all of that. So you don't have to create another point solution for web to print and host it separately. And this backend here, this example that Paul shared is more B2C oriented. So he wants to create his own B2C site. But just imagine that you're going to create this one for Mercedes and you just call it Mercedes. You can spin up as many storefronts as you want. And in AI Estimator, you can set as many rules as you want to say how to price for each of those customers. So this is something that we're handing out. It's an announcement from the summit, and we're very excited about this.
So just one reflection on what you said, Paul. When you said we spun up this really quickly, we spun up this in 6 years. And it's just important also to take a step back and realize that what you're seeing the benefit of now is consumer, which is 18 years in the making, but it's also create, which we've worked with for 6 years. And the real change that we took after having spoken to many of you is, why should we sit on all this knowledge? Why should we sit on all this technology? Why shouldn't we give it to you as our Connect customers? And that's really what we're doing. So when the reason why it went so fast, Paul, was also because we just captured the last 6 years of development and we gave it back to you. The other thing that after lunch, we will speak about Storefront and just explain exactly what StoreLink, what it actually is, because I got a bunch of questions about that. So we will begin after lunch and just go through and explain exactly what that is. But what I just want to say is StoreLink is basically what you want to do with it. Like if you want to sell to B2C consumers, that's StoreLink. If you want to sell to B2B, that's StoreLink. The difficult thing is not to launch StoreLink. The difficult thing is what we've did the last 6 years and last 17 years. I think it is important just for you to realize that come with what you want and we will deliver it and build it. So there is really no reason for you to say, oh, you don't have that. Or, well, I wanted that button there. You don't have that. We have built what you need. So let me explain after lunch exactly what StoreLink is. But B2C, B2B, web to print, whatever you want to call it, that's basically what we've built during the last 6 years. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you for that, Henrik. It's so powerful when we think about the next generation of buyers. Imagine your largest customer who's sending you emails every single day. Like, would they appreciate this? What percentage of your volume could come through a channel like this where you can customize this page and hand it out to your customers, right? And one of the key changes that we did, again, based on your feedback, is like, well, some people love the chat experience. I personally believe that's where the world is going to. But if you want your click and buy experience, which people are used to, that is also married. So this is a hybrid system.
My name's Simon. I'm probably the best looking person here, just so you're all aware. And of course, the most humble. That goes without saying. Unfortunately, not the tallest. Yeah. Hopefully, I can go to China, get my kneecaps broken, and Anyway, so I own a printing company in the UK. We have a litho factory, a digital factory, and a wide format factory. In a nutshell, we used to have a label factory too. So generally got a good sense of all things print. And here today, I'm going to pivot slightly away from what Paul talked about, which was like, let's call it the external version or the external top layer of the AI estimator. And I'm just going to talk to you about what I've seen, how we've implemented the cultural changes that we've seen by implementing the AI estimator. And hopefully, I'm assuming it's the next button, but little agenda or questions to answer. So I'm going to talk about what we use the AI estimator for today, how estimating's changed, the results we've seen, and that's the one he's removed. How I would like to see what I would like to see tomorrow. See, he didn't notice that, did he? So, but you can take that as my development want list, just to be clear. Okay, so in 2025 February, was it Fisker Shabil? Yeah, I'm not going to pretend I can pronounce it. Yeah, it's close enough. One of my presentations was about this, and it was basically just the history of print from my interpretation of the history of print. And I'm sure there's lots of different stages and so on and so forth, and I'm not here to argue that. Please don't argue with me later either about it, because I don't really care. Little summary of market events I talked about, which was the XL106, the top litho press existed, and the companies that dived in and the companies that didn't, and the consolidation and fallout that you saw of the companies that didn't dive in to a press that was making ready in, under 5 minutes instead of 35 minutes, and so on and so forth, printing at 18,000 an hour instead of 12,000 an hour, and so on, so on and so forth. And then the next trend was digital. So digital starts and people start investing in digital. You might have all started with a Next Press or a Konica Minolta or, something very small and dingy. And then POD arrives. So print on demand, photo books, calendars, etc., etc. Digital then really starts to ramp up. Market consolidation that we start seeing, and I think we saw that just after COVID. AI cost savings, because that's where I originally thought it would be, and now AI growth. So in my little brain, we have, as ESP, dived in all those situations. And as market trends have continued, whether it's becoming masters at litho, entering digital, entering print on demand, entering digital in a proper way, not just a token Konica Minolta sat in the corner. The companies that generally wait, like Henrik said on his presentation, are the companies that generally die. And that is how life works. And it's because the world is not perfect. And I think everyone seems to wait around for perfection, thinking that they want to buy something that's perfect for them. But the world isn't perfect. And generally, if you wait for it to be, you will just die as a company. That's generally how it works. The amazing entrepreneurs of our lifetime at the moment, like Elon Musk and Sam Altman and so on and so forth, they don't wait for anything. That's not how it works. And if you wait, whether you wait for the AI estimator to be perfect or whatever you wait for, just good luck. So what we use it for today? And I just realized I could just look down here. So fundamentally, look, it started off as an estimating system to create instant estimates, okay? Digital, litho, large format, okay? That's fundamentally what it started off, or the idea started off. How can we do this quicker? I think generally the idea was, and as Paul says, simpler, etc. What it's starting to become, and this is the compounding effect with, as you start implementing software and AI software, and start coming up with better ideas of how to utilize it, as I said, things start to compound. And the AI estimator, starts to become, or has become, let's call it our commercial layer of our business, our entry point prior to the MIS entry. So as Henrik said, 50% of an MIS is the complication of estimating. So the AI estimator has become a layer, the layer that sits over the business like a hat over a person's head before it enters the brain. And so we're using it for internal use, external use, which Paul touched on pretty much just a minute ago. We're using it for all our technical knowledge. We're using it for all of our margin control. And we're using it as essentially now our print Bible. You know, I've got some random stuff in there, like what's ESP's VAT number? What's ESP Colour's bank account details? How do I find tracking, DHL tracking and so on and so forth? And then I've put in lots of really funny things like who's the strongest person in ESP and stuff like that. So, but ultimately, you can kind of put in what you want and give it a vast array of knowledge, not just about print, about your processes, bank account numbers. Maybe it's a common theme. What's our bank account number? Et cetera, et cetera. What's our VAT number? And that has like huge impacts on the business and ultimately starts to fundamentally change how your business operates, which I'll go into in a minute. So internal, this is kind of the results that we're seeing, internal use of the AI estimator. So on average, we are taking across all of the complexities of print, on average at the moment, 1 minute and 3 seconds. And I'm pretty obsessive on this. There's a little dashboard for anyone that has the AI estimator. And it shows how long an estimate has been created and the amount of interactions that your staff would have had with it. And I'm just a bit anal that I want them to have no interactions, i.e. only one, and it to be as quickly as possible. So over time, you can set yourself like little targets to get that down to like, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it might be. 415 estimates per week. So that is increasing to 800 because we still have some stuff to migrate across, but we're doing 415 estimates per week. He's updated that because I put 400. So, yeah, I like that. Or maybe I just forgot what I put on there. It's because he's probably looked at my data. 2 people removed. So that's I'll go into how it's changed our culture properly, but ultimately 2 estimators removed from the business. Just, it's not like Henrik said, it's not nice, but it's life. And that's what ours looks like internally when you like the pick screen. And I just thought I'd put it in there because I'm not sure if anyone's actually, some of you people might not have actually seen it. I assume if you've never bought it, you've not seen it. Just to be clear as well, it would take us about 15 to 20 minutes to do a normal estimate for the AI estimator. That is on 400 estimates, 12,000 minutes. Someone please check my maths here, but thinks about 12,000 minutes. And I think it's a vaguely, that's vaguely 11,600 minutes per week saved, essentially. So if you've got a lot of estimates, that's a lot of savings that you can have. So that's our version of what ours looks a lot better, just to be clear. That's what the AI estimator controls and enables. And I think it's just going to continue on. So essentially it's controlling internal, it's controlling external. And as Henrik and Pradeep talked about and Paul, these externals can be, ultimately anything. And you can have, I suppose, an infinite number of them. So how has estimating changed in our business? So we have seen a fundamental structural change in estimating. We don't really have core estimators now. It's funny, we've got our procurement manager for our digital factory called James. And he was like, why is James estimating? I was like, well, because he can, I suppose. So fundamentally, it's really changed. The estimating dynamics and our margin control, okay? Those are the 2 fundamental things it's changed. So it's changed 2 estimates. So we used to be a typical business. We would have structured people that estimate, structured people that sell, structured people that do customer service, etc., etc. Like in a very structured manner, like the piece of paper gets passed down the line, doesn't it? It's not really like that anymore. Anyone estimates, and ultimately what we aim for now is whoever has the closest relationship with the customer estimates, because they're the people that are more likely going to win the job. Relationships still count for a hell of a lot in business. And we generally now push whoever has the closest relationship to estimate for the job. So whether that's the sales, like I had a sales guy that only started in April last year, and we've won Howdens for large format. And he was just doing all the Howden quotes, came in. Usually that would take, and large format's a complicated beast to quote, right? Because it's oversized stuff. You got massive pallets, blah, blah, blah. That would usually take him like a couple of hours. It was 10 estimates, a couple of hours to estimate. And I mean, it took him like literally like 5 or 10 minutes. So, it's changed the whole process, because then he can get engagement back. He can make decisions himself. He's more likely to convert it if something falls back. How they estimate, they literally screen grab, copy paste, type it in, they upload Excel spreadsheet. It's very, very quick and simple. Skill of estimator, you don't. If salespeople could estimate, then the requirement is very low, very, very low. And that changes the whole dynamics, because we do have people in our business that are close to retirement, that have always been the master keepers of knowledge. And I'm sure everyone has those people in their businesses. So that skill set is gone. And speed. I think I'll go on some conversion ratios in a minute in terms of our sales uptick and so on and so forth. But I think fundamentally that's probably been the biggest impact. If you're quoting a £50 or £100 job and you get back someone within a minute, I'm pretty sure they're not going to go out to 3 different print companies to find a price for a £100 job. Like, that would just be ridiculous. So I think generally speaking, there's a value where buyers won't even go out anywhere else. They'll just go, he's come back to me, looks about right, crack on. So I think that's been a really important impactor, is speed of estimate. Margin control, first time right pricing. I was just speaking to Spencer. Sorry, Spencer. And he's got 3 different systems, I think you said. Ooh, don't lean on that. Got 3 different systems and different pricing mechanisms for different systems. Sorry to put you on the spot here. And we've only got one system before Gelato, and between estimator to estimator, it still wouldn't be the same. So if I gave Steve Watson, one of our sales guys, an estimate, and I did it, we both output a different price on the estimate. So, and that's with one estimating system. That doesn't happen anymore. It is first time for type it in and it outputs, whether it's me or Steve or Spencer. So that is very powerful, because I can imagine so many times, you mentioned it earlier on over here somewhere about 60% uplift. So many times you've had a customer come back to you and go, hang on, that's not what it was before. And you'd be like, oh yeah, okay. Digging in deep into margin control. So you can dig in super deep. You can go absolutely crazy with your margins. So we've got running by quantity, page count, product type, customer, all different margin sets, whether it's hardcover, whether it's soft cover, whether you want a printed end paper, etc. You can control your margins to the nth degree. And consistent of that, estimates, no matter who estimates. No matter whether it's me, a salesperson, James from procurement, you get it right first time. All the margins are controlled in the rules, and the estimates are consistent. So the results we've seen, hardcore growth results. So we kicked off in week 28 of 2025. So this is week 28 to week 52. So what we saw in our digital, commercial digital, where we use it, we had 9.4% sales growth. We had 10.6 added value growth. And year to date in 2026, we've got a lot better at margin control. The systems, as Paul's mentioned, has got more cleverer. So currently we're on 12.5% sales growth and 19% added value growth. And these growth factors, we compare week to week. So 2025 versus 2026, or in 2025's case, week 2025 versus 2024. And these are the growth factors that we are having. And it is exclusively digital. And we track it. We tracked it before the AI Estimator and after. It's just a normal business thing that we track. And why do I think that is? Like I said, speed of response, consistency of estimating, deep margin control. Like I said, I think 2026 is better, not because the economy's got better or we've won more customers. I think we've just got better at margin control. And accountability and relationship. Like I said, salespeople in general, or whoever's got the relationship, able to close that estimate down is much more convenient than some faceless estimating at espcolor.co.uk. Oh, yeah, there we go. Well, that's all I've got. So that's the objective. For me, I don't want to see an ESP member of staff touch 80% of all my estimates. That's kind of what I'm aiming for, because then I can just have like loads of screens up of stuff happening and have no employees. That would be my ideal situation. Thank you.
Yeah. Simon, just a couple of questions. So when I called you with that horrible coverage, and apologies for disturbing you with your daughter there, I tend to call on weekends because I work 24/7. But you said to me, and I quote, that what you're describing now is the holy grail of this industry.
Yeah, that's every printer in the world. I am sure you've all been disgruntled at times where you've produced a photo book for £4 or a T-shirt for £2, and your customer is selling it for £40 or £30. I'm sure if you're in that market, at some point, every one of you have gone, only if we could sell it for £30, we'd be millionaires. And essentially what Gelato has given you is that the ability to do that. And not just that, but we talk about, I don't think it's really made a big enough thing about every website that exists online that prices print is basically a massive database or Excel spreadsheet with prices from 1 to whatever, 10,000. And this is not that. It is literally, I think it is I was going to say this earlier on, it is the world's first e-commerce website where you can price anything you can produce. In the world today, before literally this week, that did not exist because the trade prints, the Vista prints, the sim presses, whatever, whoever online business is all, static pricing. It is the first online website to achieve that. And I just think there is something magical in there that I think that you can probably capture. So that was it.
And then one more question. When we're now going in this next path of growth, which basically is we take your webpage, we marry it with the AI Estimator, and then you worked with Sven and Styrbjörn to build up this marketing kind of landscape. You mentioned, and Sven told me this, and Styrbjörn, that you wanted to go all UK.
100%. Yeah, I was gonna. When you said that earlier on, I don't care about one part. I just want the whole of the UK.
Yeah, but so that's before you saw the cost per click. If you go all UK,
we'll expand out slowly.
Yeah, but what's your when you think about this next growth phase? Let's say the coming 2-3 months. What are your ambitions with that?
So I want to have a huge jump in sales associated to it. So I would love for it to be like, if I say a number, then he has to achieve it. So like,
absolutely, go
29-30% growth in digital, I think would be epic through basically online consumer or SME driven business through marketing and through the website essentially. The website's pretty much done from a usability point of view. It'll just be the marketing there onwards. And, I want to enter. I think the world of print is consolidating really quickly, like hugely. In the UK it is, I know in Germany, in lots of countries, the world or the printers, there are less of us. Year by year that goes by, less and less and less and less. And as time goes on, printers need to take ownership of their own market and they need to own their whole supply chain, whether it's online or offline production of print. And I think it's the only way that printers will continue to grow and flourish, or one of the ways, should I say. So I think this gives us that ability to do that.
And I'd like to hear also what Jesper are thinking around this, because we've worked together with Paul, with Simon, with Jesper. So interesting to get your perspective. But 290%, 300% growth, you said, or
30% growth of up at that. Yeah. 30% growth.
Okay.
I'll take
so
so
300% growth.
yeah, okay.
I honestly,
I would definitely need some more machines then.
So I was going to come to that. I actually believe that the growth potential lying around in all your countries, in all your cities, is beyond anything you can imagine.
100%.
The reason why we're not capturing it is because the combination of GelatoConnect managing procurement workflow and logistics, the AI Estimator, and then StoreLink has not existed. But imagine the amount of searches that are done in New York City, for example, every single day. Like, it's hundreds and thousands, but they fall empty because the industry has not brought the capabilities of beautiful interfaces, rapid response time, and ease of production. So I think we're now at that stage where we bring all of those things together. And when we meet next time, I think we're going to present some really interesting growth data, and also customer satisfaction, which we don't speak enough about in this
Yeah,
industry.
100%. Yeah. I'll settle for 29%, just,
290% it is. So Jesper, from your perspective, when you see this presentation, when you hear Simon's reflections, comments, view of the future, what are your thoughts? And perhaps you can just stand up so everyone sees you. And
Just not next to me because you're tall as well.
I'm just aligned. I'm 100% aligned, and I'm aiming for 290% in growth. And I hear a lot of talk about the cost. To me, this is a growth opportunity.
Yeah.
If you don't want to grow, don't enter it.
I see this as a salesperson. So we pay our salespeople it varies, right? But anywhere between about 60 to 100,000 pound a year, we would pay a salesperson. I mean, it doesn't cost that. So I just see it as essentially there's 4 ways you grow in business, right? It is like salespeople, it's marketing, as in free marketing, like business awareness, let's call it, marketing, paid for marketing, and there's another way, but I can't remember. In a nutshell, we only ever do in our industry one way, which is salespeople. We never seem to do all the other stuff that go with it. And this is one of the other things. So instead of employing a salesperson, I'm basically just doing this instead.
And I see the potential of grabbing your hand, going with you, using your marketing division as a local producer, instead of printing in Germany, whatever some people do in Gothenburg as right now. We will win those cases with the local production and all that marketing there is with Gelato. Marketing knowledge, there's so much opportunities. I see that.
how has it been to work with, you worked with Sven on marketing, or?
Yeah, actually, we built a site like you have. Ours is the best looking one so far. No, Sven, of course, I understood right away. He knows what he's doing. So we haven't really launched the marketing part yet, but we will do in a couple of days. I built the site, and that's why I was late this morning. I just couldn't jump off it. I wanted to stay on the building. It's a fun part, but it's going to be super great. And I understand Sven, when he discussed the marketing part, it's going to be awesome.
Can I tell you my marketing discussion with Sven? Here's my credit card, Sven. Please do my marketing. Yeah, he's obviously a super skillful chap, been doing it for a very long period of time and knows a lot more than me.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't say this, but I will anyway. So when we started out, I did assessments of everyone, and we still do, but less so granular as we did. But Sven was the first person after 5 years that applied. So we didn't have anyone applying, so it was hard to hire anyone. But they called from the assessment company and said, listen, we don't know where his IQ stops, but we couldn't measure after 140. So that is Sven. So Sven is not only a kind person, but he is so knowledgeable. And you working with him in our AI marketing engine, coupled with this, it's super exciting to see where we will be 6 months from today when we meet again.